श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी भरनु रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तीनों लोक उजागर। राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ ब्रज औ ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतिह सम भाई। सहस बंधन तुम्हरो जस गावे अस कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादित ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहिस अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कह सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माही जल दिलांदि जयो अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारे सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे तीनों लोक हांकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तीन के काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई नावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुआरे। अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय, बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय, बोलो हनुमान की। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुपर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलवीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई। कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई। छूटई बंदी महासुख होए, जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा। होए सिद्धि साकी गौरी सा, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा। की जय नाथ हृदय महादेरा, राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय, बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय, बोलो हनुमान की। राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय, बोलो हनुमान की। I'm really sorry for the trouble, because I don't know what happened. My computer just suddenly completely went off, and thankfully my son came to the rescue. Uh, I hope you could follow the words. I don't know what was. I would now like to take it directly forward for the time that I have wasted. uh, I would like to continue and go directly to introduce our guest for this evening, who is uh, Shubha Vilas ji. In the recent times, the chaos has been unprecedented. It is in times like this we turn to our ancient scriptures, stories, and advice from the gurus and elders to tide us over these choppy waters. Ramayana is one of the most told stories in the world. Many versions of it exists in different places, countries, and the world. And our speaker today, a spiritual seeker himself, a monk, a life coach, and of course, an author of many insightful books, Sri Shubha Vilas ji, is a perfect person to share with us some valuable pointers for the way forward. Today, Mangalwar, Tuesday, is a special day for our special deity, the superhero of Ramayana, Mangal Murti Hanumanji. Shubha ji has written multiple books on him, and today would like to elaborate and give us some new perspectives on Tulsidas ji. Hanumanji, sorry. Before we commence this evening, I would like to give you a brief introduction on Shubha ji. This is a difficult task for me. I have been researching him the whole day, and I found out how so accomplished and so multifaceted he is. An electronics engineer who perceived patent law, he gave up his corporate career to become a monk. live a life of contemplation. And after 11 years of being a monk, he took up the role of a life coach and created life lessons that lead to self development roadmaps. He speaks with a very simple narrative that connects him with those who hear him. He has also authored many, many books with a primary focus on Ramayana and life lessons, of course. We thank CBL and Mohit ji for giving us this opportunity to interact and learn from such a brilliant personality today. I also have the great pleasure today to announce amongst us my beloved Acharya ji, Sampadananda Mishra, from whom we have learned so much over the last 1 year. Acharya Sampadananda Mishra is a Sanskrit scholar, originally from Odisha, lives in Puducherry and between Puducherry and Delhi now, because he is now a professor with the Rashtram School of Public Leadership at Rishihood University. Earlier, he was the director of Sri Aurobindo Foundation for Indian Culture, where he served between 1995 and 2021. He has an MPhil degree in Sanskrit from the Pondicherry University, where he received a gold medal for the excellent performance. Earlier, from Utkal University, he has a postgraduate degree and a PhD on the topic of Sanskrit and an evolution of human speech. A radio station, Divyavani, children's books, Devbhasha, language curry app are just a few of his wonderful creations which I have been using. Yeah, the list is endless. If you surf the net, you will find multiple articles and details which will give you a glimpse into his immense knowledge. And extremely knowledgeable on ancient wisdom. His classes with us in CBL, Sanskritam, is there in 2 modules. We offer Sanskritam Basic and Dhatu Rahasyam. Having attended quite a few of them, I will personally assure anyone who participates in it, it is mesmerizing, for the lack of a better word, leaving us awestruck while encouraging us to contemplate, to delve deeper into the wonder that is Sanskrit, which incidentally is the name of one of his books that he has authored. A new course is set to commence on June 5th, which will include not just our Acharya, but our wonderful mentor, Smita ji, and also an eclectic mixture of co-learners who will together create a wonderful Sangathan, leading you to new insights in every engagement. While you listen to him today, I assure you, every person in the audience will benefit even from a brief engagement with him today. I would collect a little time, I will collect some information on Keshav ji and present that also. I would like to directly pass the stage on to Shubha Vilas ji to take it forward from here. Shubha Vilas ji.
Namaskar. Very, very happy and grateful to be amidst all of you all here. So honored to be in this very exalted forum. Thank you very much, Mohit ji, for making sure I'm here and so quickly from the first time we connected. Very, very, very honored to meet Sampadanand ji once again after almost a year. Obviously, G was a different experience and an online event is a different experience, but nonetheless, at least we're together. Mohit ji, how long do I need to speak? Any time frame? So I'm sure I stick to it.
So please take your time. I think 20-25 minutes, whatever stories you can narrate us.
So when you say take your time, in the Indian context, that's very, very dangerous number to say, a dangerous thing to say, especially to a speaker. I can go on for like 2 hours also. And then since you said 25 minutes, that makes sense. I make sure I stick to it. So today I would like to share some thoughts on the most exalted Hanuman Chalisa. Hanumanji has been someone who has been very, very closely connected to my spiritual life. Everything around my life very strongly revolves around Hanumanji. Some other time I can tell you all stories about that. But today I'll stick to Hanuman Chalisa and I'll share some really beautiful insights into some of the verses of Hanuman Chalisa. I'm not going in order. I'm just picking up random verses of Hanuman Chalisa and just trying to see what we can learn from it. So here are few verses which, and from the verses I'm just going to pick up one or two words and learn to see something deeper into these words. So what I have been doing is I have written a book on Hanuman Chalisa, which is a story form of Hanuman Chalisa, in the sense that every word of Hanuman Chalisa, I'm trying to correlate it with stories of Hanumanji that make these verses of Hanuman Chalisa alive and so much more meaningful, and it can be a solid absorption and meditation. I do not claim myself to be a scholar, but I claim myself, I humbly present myself as a insignificant devotee of Hanumanji, trying to enhance my meditation on Hanumanji and his devotion to Lord Ram. And in that way, I find great joy in life by sharing my experience of deriving contemplation and absorption on Hanuman Chalisa. So I'll begin with a beautiful verse. It says, Mahavira Vikrama Bajirangi, Kumati Nivara Sumatike Sangi, Kanchana Varana Viraja Sudesha, Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesha. So I'm going to here meditate on two aspects of Hanumanji. One is Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesha. I'll tell you a story about the Kundala of Hanumanji, the earrings. And I want to meditate on this word Bajarangi, Mahavira Vikrama Bajarangi, Kumati Nivara. The word Bajarangi I want to meditate on. So Kundal has a very beautiful story connected to it. When Hanumanji was in the womb of his mother Anjana, there was a point in time where Narad Muni met Vali. And Narad Muni told Vali, do you know who's going to come in Kishkinda? Vali had no idea. Narad Muni told, the person who's going to appear in Kishkinda is unlimitedly more powerful than you. So Vali became a little insecure. Insecurity is a disease that many leaders tend to have. And insecurity is actually a sign of lack of dependence on the Lord. So when Vali heard that, he really was scared that he might lose this power and control. And he decided to kill the baby in the womb. So he sent a liquid, like a soup, but this was made up of 5 metals mixed together, and he sent it for Anjana through a maid. So Anjana, she didn't know what it was, she consumed it. So when a pregnant woman drinks that, it's supposed to terminate pregnancy immediately. But instead of her pregnancy being terminated, nothing happened. So Vali didn't know what happened. He didn't know how it is possible that she is still carrying the pregnancy, and he waited. A few days later, the baby was born. So Vali now obviously wanted to see how the baby is and who is this baby, who's managed to survive that. When Vali went there, he got the shock of his life to see that on Hanumanji's earrings, or on Hanumanji's ears, there was a kundal. And this kundal was actually a combination of those 5 metals that Anjana had drunk, So rather than those metals destroying Hanumanji, they decorated Hanumanji. When we often hear the story of Hanumanji jumping to the sun, and when he thought it was a red apple, and he jumped towards the sun. So that is how when he jumped over there, he obviously countered Indra. So he swallowed the sun, and Indra came and threw the thunderbolt, which hit him on his chin, and Hanumanji was falling back. So now eventually Hanumanji was in a state of unconsciousness, and his father Vayudev, he saved his son, brought him into a cave, and absorbed all the air from the world. So when all the air from the world was absorbed, then all the gods were very disturbed, and they came to Vayu to ask forgiveness. Vayudev, he said, unless you bless my son and bring him back, I will not forgive. I will not, leave the air. So that's how all the gods started giving blessings one after another. Indra, he gave the blessing that my thunderbolt won't harm you, will not be able to harm you. And Indra also gave him this name Bajarangi. because his body had become as powerful as the thunderbolt of Indra, and also because it was hit by Indra's thunderbolt. Other demigods gave other blessings. Surya Dev gave the blessing of that I will teach you the Vedas, and he gave blessing of being immune to fire. Vishwakarma gave the blessing of intelligence and creativity. Dhanavantri gave him the healing touch, so on and so forth. So the word Bajrangi comes from this story. But the beauty of this story is much more than what we just hear from a story point of view. The Ramayana is in layers. All our scriptures, in fact, are in layers. When we look at the upper layer of the scripture, we don't understand the depth in which these scriptures are actually existing. So there are multiple layers in which we should study these scriptures. The sun represents knowledge. And Hanumanji's hunger for the sun represents his hunger for knowledge. So when Hanuman jumped towards the sun, it was not just his physical hunger. There are different types of hunger. Physical hunger is one of the most basic types of hunger. So when Hanumanji jumped towards the sun, he is not physically hungry. In fact, in the Ramayana, we find so many people who are hungry. When Hanumanji was in Ashok Vatika, after he speaks to Mother Sita, he tells her, "Can I eat all the fruits over here?" So he shows his hunger over there. And then we find while Hanuman was crossing across the ocean, there was this huge demoness Surasa who wanted to eat him up. And then a little later, we find Simhika wanted to eat him up. And so many people wanted to. So basically, we find a lot of hungry people in the Ramayana. But this hunger represents different levels of hunger. Some of them are just at the level of physical hunger. Some of them are at the level of intellectual hunger. And some of them are the level of spiritual hunger. So when Hanumanji asks Mother Sita, "Can I eat the fruits?" he is not into intellectual hunger at that point, but he's hungry for love of Mother Sita. And that love is manifesting in the form of a certain type of hunger, right? So here, Hanumanji jumping towards the sun is representing his hunger for knowledge, his hunger for intellectual pursuits. So the sun is knowledge, right? Surya it represents the power of knowledge, and darkness represents ignorance. So when the sun rises, it's like destroying all the darkness of ignorance and bringing us towards light, towards knowledge. And Hanumanji jumping towards the sun indicates how desperately hungry he was in trying to achieve knowledge. And the interesting part was, while Hanumanji jumps towards the sun, at the same time Rahu is coming towards the sun. So Hanuman is coming towards the sun to swallow up the sun. Rahu is coming towards the sun to swallow up the sun. Now, is Rahu's hunger same as Hanuman's hunger? No. There's a big difference between the two. When Rahu is trying to eat up the sun, he's trying to grab all the knowledge for himself. Keep it for himself. But when Hanumanji is trying to actually eat the sun, he is not exactly eating it for himself, for his satisfaction, but he's trying to save that knowledge, save the sun from the attack of Rahu. And therefore, you need people like Hanumanji who are trying to save knowledge from reaching the wrong hands. There are people who use knowledge to create confusion, to create bewilderment. And there are people who use knowledge to create light, to create hope and inspiration. There's another beautiful verse that speaks about Hanumanji's glory again. It says, हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांदे मूंज जनेऊ साजे, शंकर सुवर्ण केशरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन. So I'm just going to focus on this word, Dvaja Viraje, sitting on the flag of Arjun in the Mahabharata war. And let me just help you with the meditation on Hanumanji and look at this mood. This verse really brings out the mood of Hanumanji beautifully out. So when the monkeys were searching for Mother Sita and they reached the southern shore of the Indian Ocean, they they knew that Sita is on the other side of the ocean, 800 miles to cross. So each one is talking about their capacity. So somebody said I can do 100 miles, somebody said I can do 200 miles, somebody said I can do 500 miles, and finally Angad said I can do 800 miles. But Angad said, I'm not sure if I can come back. So why did Angad say I'm not sure that I can come back? The reason is because it was not about ability. He could have easily come back. But the problem was temptation. Angad was not sure if he lands in the city of Lanka, the city of gold, all the razzle dazzle of Lanka, whether he'll be able to resist it and come back. You know, there are some people who are not sure of their ability to handle temptations, and they should be honest with it, right? So, you know, just like if you go to Las Vegas, a good chance you may not come back. You know, the way that place is created, it's just so bewildering. So Jambavan, who was among the leaders, he looked at all the Vanaras and started doing a SWOT analysis, trying to find out who's the strengths and weaknesses. And then he realized one of them had not spoken at all. And that was Hanumanji. And Jambavan walked up to Hanumanji and started reminding Hanumanji of his powers. And as Jambavan was reminding Hanuman of his powers, Hanuman became huge. And he actually started remembering all his powers, and he became the rest, you know, all of us know Ramayana. After that point, in every single page almost, Hanuman is the hero of the Ramayana. The question is, what about Jambavan? How many times do we find Jambavan's name in the Ramayana after that? You know? Not too many times. So every Hanuman needs a Jambavan in their lives to remind them of their potentials. All of us are potentially having a lot of abilities, but unfortunately we forget them. And therefore we need someone who reminds us of our abilities. So all our abilities are God-given, but we tend to forget. And when somebody like Jambavan reminds us, we remember. And the beautiful thing about this story is that Jambavan, he tells Hanumanji, when I was young, I could do so much. I could travel around the universe 21 times. When Vamanadev's lotus feet went up to the Karana ocean, I went around his feet 21 times. But now I'm old. I can't even jump across a puddle. Jambavan is very honest about his weakness. So every person at one point in his or her life has to be a visible leader. And at some point in his or her life has to become an invisible leader. Visible leader means that you're visible to the world. You are the hero. But invisible leader means you're not visible to the world, but you inspire and push somebody else to become visible. Jambavan in his younger days was a visible hero. But as he got older, he pushed Hanuman to become a hero. And the interesting thing is Hanuman, when he becomes older, in the Mahabharata, you'll find Hanuman's role is very different from what he did in the Ramayana. What does Hanuman do in the Mahabharata? Hanuman is sitting on the flag of Arjun. What is he doing sitting on the flag of Arjun? He sits there, and when Bhima makes his war cries, Hanuman joins him in making the war cries. So the role of Hanuman in the Mahabharata is to inspire Bhima through his voice. The role of Jambavan in the Ramayana is to inspire Hanuman through his voice. So at every given point in time, all of us will get to be visible leaders. That means the world will see us. But at some point in our life, we should become invisible leaders. Push somebody else towards success. Push somebody else towards glory and greatness. Hanumanji is someone who pushes Bhima towards greatness at this point. And that's what the whole idea of humanity really is. Another very beautiful thing that we can learn from this part of the story is how Hanuman, till he does not get seva of Lord Ram, Hanuman doesn't show his powers. See, anybody who's powerful, they are very eager to show their powers, right? But the beauty of Hanumanji is that till he gets Ram seva, he doesn't show his powers at all. So he's acting like an ordinary soldier, just like anybody else, you know. And when all these people are asking this question, how many miles you can jump, Hanuman doesn't speak a single word. Why? Why does Hanuman not speak any word? Why does he not say? According to him, the question itself is wrong. The question should not have been how much you can do. That's a wrong question, because that means that talks about your ability, your greatness, right? So according to Hanumanji, he is like an arrow. An arrow, how far an arrow can go does not depend on the arrow. Whom does it depend on? The person who is shooting the arrow. So according to Hanumanji, he considers himself to be an arrow in the hand of Lord Ram. How far he can go, it doesn't depend on him. It depends on Lord Ram. So from his point of view, that question is wrong, because the question shouldn't have been how far you can go. The question should have been how far Ram can send you. And the answer is he can send anywhere, basically. Another very beautiful verse in the Hanuman Chalisa, which I would like to speak about, is this verse. It says, Vidyavana Guni Ati Chatur, Rama Kaja Kari Deko Atur, Prabhu Charitra Suni Beko Rasiya, Rama Lakana Sita Manu Rasiya. So I'll focus on two aspects. One is the word Vidyavana, and the second is the word Ramakaj. So Vidyavan, obviously, Hanumanji, he finds his education with Suryadev. He goes and actually studies under Suryadev later in the school of Suryadev. And when Lord Ram meets Hanumanji for the first time, something amazing comes up. Hanumanji takes the form of a sannyasi. He takes the form of a bhikshuk sannyasi when he comes in front of Lord Ram. When Ravan comes in front of Sita, he also comes in the form of a sannyasi. But when Ravan comes in front of Sita, he comes in the form of a Parivajikacharya sannyasi. Parivajikacharya sannyasis are very, very exalted in the sense they're very opulent. They have hundreds of disciples. They have a lot of wealth, So that's how Parivajikacharya sannyasis, at least the one that Ravan portrayed himself to be. Even in becoming a sannyasi, taking the dress of a sannyasi, there was pride in Ravan. And Hanumanji, when he chose to become a bhikshuk sannyasi. Bhikshuk sannyasi is someone who doesn't know where his next meal is going to come. So even in choosing the role of a sannyasi, Hanuman chose a humble role, basically. And so when Hanumanji started speaking to Lord Ram, and Ram heard the words of Hanumanji, just a little bit, a few words of Hanumanji, Ram immediately understood. This person has so much knowledge. So he speaks about, Ram tells Lakshman about all the knowledge that Hanumanji has. Knowledge of Rig Veda, knowledge of Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, in terms of his memory, in Rig Veda, in terms of which gives you humility, So each of the things that Ram was looking at Hanumanji, he was looking at from the point of view of his learning. His understanding of Vyakarana was perfect. He made no mistakes in joints. His understanding of sentence formation was perfect. There was no mistake in the tone in which he spoke. Hanumanji's speech was so good that if he started at a certain speed, he ended at the same speed. And he didn't move his body at all as he was speaking, And so Ram, when he was looking at Hanumanji and looking at all these amazing qualities of Hanuman, Ram could actually decipher how much intelligence Hanumanji has and how much knowledge Hanumanji has. When somebody has great knowledge, the manifestation of the knowledge is it makes you humble. The next verse that I'm going to take up, it will show us how humble Hanumanji is and the kind of mood that Hanumanji has in terms of humility, which actually shows how he has digested knowledge. The word Ramakaja is a beautiful word. Ramakaja means Kamkaj means doing our work, right? Doing our activities, duties. Ramkaj means doing duties of Ram. Kamkaj means doing our duties, of this world. And Ramkaj means doing duties of the Lord. So after the Ram Ravan war gets over, and all the monkeys, they are in Ayodhya, they attend the coronation ceremony of Lord Ram. And after the whole coronation ceremony of Lord Ram, they are all excited about, spending their time serving Lord Ram and all that. Ram calls all the monkeys and tells them, all of you go home. So all of them are heartbroken. They for such a long period of time, so many months now, they don't know anything except Ram and his service and association with Ram. And now Ram is telling them, go home. And Ram tells something amazing. Ram tells them, all of you go home and do Ramkaj. So now they are wondering, they thought they didn't hear it properly. They asked Lord Ram, what are you saying? If we go home, we will do Kamkaj. If we are with you in Ayodhya, we will do Ramkaj. But Ram says, no, you go home and do Ramkaj. So they were confused. How do you do that? And then Ram explains that till you met me, you were doing Kamkaj. You were doing things that were for yourself. But the moment you met me and you surrendered your hearts to me, From that moment onwards, everything you do is Ramkaj, is actually for my pleasure. Kishkinda is not only your home now, it is also my home. And when you do activities in Kishkinda, you're not just doing it for your own self now. Your families are not your families. Your families are my families now. So Ram tells them, now when you go back to Kishkinda and do anything, you're not doing Kamkaj, you're doing Ramkaj. The monkeys, when they heard that, they were so happy, so grateful to Ram to help them understand that the spirit of bhakti is not about giving up. It's not about giving up things in this world, but it's about adding Ram into our lives. तो इस सब कुछ छोड़ना नहीं है, राम को जोड़ना है. It's not about giving up everything of our lives, but it's actually about adding Ram into our lives. And that is what the whole idea of Ram Kaj is. The next verse, it speaks about Hanumanji's size. It says, Sukshma Rupa Dhari Sihari Dikava, Vikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jalava, Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Sahare, Ramachandra Ke Kaj Savare. So when Hanumanji came in front of Mother Sita, he took a very tiny form. And there are two reasons why he took the tiny form. One reason was obviously he didn't want to be seen. But a more important reason was when Mother Sita sees him for the first time, he wanted her to see him in that form, in a small tiny form. Why? Because for a woman to feel motherly affection is easy when she sees a small form, right? You see a huge person, motherly love cannot easily come up. But you see a tiny, form, motherly love comes up. So Hanumanji wanted to hear this word once, where Sita calls him Putra, son. And that desire of Hanumanji was so strong that he took that form purposely. So when Hanumanji took this tiny form, he was sitting on top of the tree. And, he was waiting for Mother Sita at the right time to jump in and speak to Mother Sita. So he realized that Mother Sita is in big trouble because she actually was contemplating suicide. And she was just, putting her hair around her head, around her neck and going to hang herself. That time Hanumanji starts narrating Ramayana. As Hanumanji starts narrating Ramayana, Mother Sita, she kind of becomes stunned because she's hearing this beautiful voice of Hanumanji. You can imagine the voice of Hanuman, such power, such sweetness, and such attraction. There are some people's voices that you can really connect with, And Hanumanji is absolutely in the mood of narrating the Ramayana in the best possible way. And as he is narrating, Mother Sita sits down and she's absorbed in hearing the narration of Hanumanji. And she sits down and she's looking up. Hanumanji is not visible because he's hiding himself behind a leaf. He's taken a very tiny form. He's hiding himself behind a leaf. So Sita is trying to see who is the speaker, but she's not able to see the speaker. She's able to hear Ram Katha. This is the mood in which Ramayana is narrated. The mood in which Ramayana is narrated is that the Kathakar is not interested in making himself visible. He keeps himself hidden and brings Ram in the front. Unfortunately, a lot of Kathakars today, they keep the Lord hidden behind them and they make themselves visible to the world. So, Hanumanji sets the right mood of doing Ram Katha or Krishna Katha, And the parampara of Kathakar sitting on top and the audience sitting below starts from that time. Where Hanumanji is sitting on top of the tree and Mother Sita is sitting below and, listening. So Sita hears the Ramayana and she's so inspired by his narration, she wants to look at it. So the narration of the Ramayana should be done in such a way that the audience wants to see who is speaking. So finally, Hanumanji jumps in front of Mother Sita. And when Hanumanji jumps in front of her, that split second, Sita just turns her face away. I mean, it happens to anybody, right? If anybody suddenly has this presence of, like a monkey jumps in front of you, you might just, out of a little fear, turn your face away. Sita turned the face away a little bit. Much later, when they were in Ayodhya, much later, Sita asked Hanumanji, my dear son, the first time you appeared in front of me, I turned my face away from you. Did you feel bad about it? Hanuman spoke something beautiful. He said, my dear mother, what was worth hearing, you heard attentively. But what was not worth seeing, you didn't see. So he said, you did the perfect thing. So Hanumanji was so humble that he actually considered himself not worth seeing, basically. And then Mother Sita, she so there was a long conversation. There's a very beautiful discussion between Sita and Hanumanji. And one of the things, at some point, Hanumanji tells her, "Please come with me. I will take you to Lord Ram. Just forget this whole thing. I'll carry you back." Now Sita looks at him. He's very tiny in size. She's wondering, how is this tiny person going to carry me? He's saying big things. But she didn't want to directly ask him that, otherwise she'll feel bad. So she asks an indirect question. She says, "Are all the monkeys of Ram's army same size as you?" I mean, she has seen Ravan's army. They're like huge demons. And here they're like a Lilliput, basically. So Sita is having this doubt. So Hanumanji immediately understands and he increases his size and shows this huge size. And Sita is shocked. Suddenly he's so small and now suddenly he's become so huge. So she asks him another question. She asks him, "What is your real size? What is your original size?" I mean, imagine somebody's size is changing all the time. It's very difficult to buy clothes for him, right? Very difficult to buy shoes for him. So Sita asks him, "What is your original size?" And Hanumanji gives an amazing answer. Hanumanji tells her, "My dear mother, I am originally insignificant. I'm small. I'm insignificant. But for the mission of the Lord, I can take any size." What an answer. Size here means responsibility. A lot of people have a wrong definition of humility. In the name of humility, we actually become lazy. If somebody asks you, "Can you please do this?" And you say, no, I'm insignificant. I'm a useless person. I can't do it. But look at Hanumanji's definition here. He's telling, "I'm useless. I'm small. I'm insignificant. But for the mission of the Lord, I can take any size." So that size actually means I can take up any amount of responsibility because I know it's not about me. It's about the Lord. And that's what makes Hanumanji so beautiful. I'll end by talking about one very, very beautiful section of the Ramayana, just the beginning of the Sundarakanda of the Ramayana. When Hanumanji and the monkeys are searching for Mother Sita, they come across a cave, a huge cave. And this cave is on top of a mountain. And, from the beginning, when they leave Kishkinda and they are going down towards the south, Angad is leading the group. Angad is right in the front. And Hanumanji is right at the back of the group. Why is Angad right in the front? Because Angad is the leader. Angad represents intelligence. And Hanumanji represents faith. So in the beginning of our spiritual journeys, the journey of the monkeys going to search for Mother Sita represents our journey. Sita represents Bhakti Devi. So we are all on this journey towards finding Bhakti Devi. We are all on this journey towards finding the mother of devotion, right? And it's a difficult journey. It's a tough journey. So in the beginning of our journey, intelligence should be leading us. So when we begin our spiritual journeys, it is important to understand spirituality intellectually. So Angad was leading the army and Hanumanji was at the back. Hanumanji is Pavanaputra. When wind is in the front, it actually stops you from progressing. The wind should be at the back. It pushes you forward, inspires you ahead. So at some point in the journey, they came across a cave, a massive cave, dark cave. Angad, the moment he saw the cave, he said, "I can't go in." Why did Angad say, "I can't go in"? Because all problems in Angad's life began with caves only. His father, Vali, got into a cave, and that's when all problems in his life began. So for Angad, cave means problem. So he just couldn't go in. There are many problems that intelligence cannot help you with. You will always come across problems that intelligence cannot help you solve. Whenever you come across problems that intelligence cannot help you solve, that's the time you get faith ahead. So when Angad said, "I can't go in," Hanumanji came in the front. And Hanumanji straight walked into the cave. Hanumanji represents faith. He doesn't need any torchlight and he doesn't need any, GPS. He doesn't need any of that. He just straight walked into the cave. Absolute dark cave with the faith that Lord Ram is there to guide me. The monkey that was behind Hanumanji caught the tail of Hanumanji and walked in. The monkey that was behind that monkey caught the tail of the second monkey and walked in. And like that, all the monkeys walked in catching each other's tail. This is what we call as Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara essentially means someone right in the front has full faith in God. We may not have faith in God at all, but we have faith in the person right in front of me. And that person has faith in the person in front of him. And that person has faith in the person in front of him. Somewhere far up there is someone who has 100% faith in God. The rest of us are just following. And Hanumanji represents that faith. So all of us, we are all on our own spiritual paths, on our own spiritual journeys. Hanumanji is such an amazing combination of power and innocence. Such an amazing combination of intelligence and humility. Such an amazing combination of uh, great charisma and great devotion. So I think all of us should derive great inspiration from Hanumanji and pray and hope that Hanumanji can give us some blessings so that we can get a small iota of the glimpse of what greatness Hanumanji has, and we may achieve a small fraction of that in our own lives. What I shared with you all is a little drops from the Hanuman Chalisa book. But as I said, every word of the Hanuman Chalisa is described through these stories. So it's a great absorption and great meditation to have. So if any of you all are inspired by the Hanuman Chalisa and love the Hanuman Chalisa, I think it will be a great meditation for all of you to have this book and read it and find great joy in it. And if you all do read and find great joy in it, please do bless me so that I can also progress in my own spiritual journey and hopefully receive the blessings of Hanuman. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Shubhaji. It was mesmerizing. The last 15 20 minutes, or we didn't know how the time passed by, with all your very simple beautiful narration, and so many insights, how we could pick up so many stories and connect to it immediately. If anyone has questions to ask Shubhaji, please do message me on the chat. Meanwhile, um, we would like to listen to a beautiful rendition, like Sampaji would is now going to present to us the Hanuman Chalisa in Sanskrit, which is like the mother of all languages. And we also have the pleasure of having the translator among us, Dr. Krishna Keshav Sarangi. Uh, um, Krishna ji is a veterinarian. Again, we are blessed to have among us so many multiple people who are, so multi-talented, and so much we can all learn from them. Now, Keshav ji is someone who is whose biodata runs to about 12 or 14 pages. It's like endless. You never know how many papers, and I'm sure there are hundreds missed out over there. And of course, primarily his focus has been in Odia and in Sanskrit, and he presents a lot of stories on Jagannath ji, and one of those is the Sanskrit Hanuman Chalisa, with which our Acharya ji is going to be presenting today. Over to Acharya ji. Namaste.
Namaskar to all of you. Namaskar, Shubha Vilas ji, for a wonderful uh, presentation. And also my regard to Krishna Keshav Sarangi ji, so who has so wonderfully translated this Hanuman Chalisa into Sanskritam, maintaining the same chandas. It's a joy again, to read it, and also like in the translation, he has kept as much the original word as he could, maintaining the chandas. It's a wonderful work that he has done. So we all must congratulate him and also pay our respect to him. And it's also a joy that I will be reciting it in front of him and Shubha Vilas ji and you all. Hanuman stands for two things: Bhakti and Shakti. And his Shakti, the most important thing is that his Shakti comes from Bhakti. And Hanuman represents that higher spiritual prana the vital, which comes by complete surrender to the Supreme. And that is what, when we surrender ourselves or think of Hanuman, so the entire being becomes so plastic in the sense of surrender and self-giving. And therefrom comes the true Shakti. So this is a great lesson that all our Shakti, whatever energy, in whatever form we want to spend our energy, so that must be the result, our Shakti must be result from our Bhakti. This is symbolic of Hanuman. So with these few words, let me start the recitation of the Sanskrit rendition of Hanuman Chalisa. In Sanskrit, it is Hanumat Chatwarinshika, and rendered into beautiful Sanskrit by Dr. Krishna Keshava Sarangi. The text also will be shared with you all in a text PDF format. So let me begin with this. Om Shri Hanumate Namah. Shri Guru Charan Saroj Raj Swamanasi Mukure Vidadhat Bhashe Raghuvar Vimala Yasha Phala Chatushkadam Tadyat Buddhihina Iti Mamapi Jnatva Pavan Kumar Baladhi Vidyam Dehi Chame Hrita Hrit Klesha Vikar Jaya Hanuman Gunabodhana Sagar Jaya Kapisha Bhuvanatra Jagar Ramaduta Sadatula Baladhaman Anjaneya Pavanatmajanaman Mahavira Vikramabajrangin Kumati Nivaraka Sumati Susangin Kanchanavarna Virajit Vesha Kundalikarna Sukunchita Kesha Dhwaja Vajra Sugadayuta Hasta Skandhe Munja Sutra Ruchishasta Shankara Suno Kesari Nandana Swatejasa Jagati Kritabandana Vidyavan Gunadharavar Chatura Rama Karya Karani Chiramatura Prabhu Charita Shravanadara Sakta Ram Lakshmana Vanaj Bhakta Sukshma Rupa Hrita Sita Shanka Vikata Rupa Sanjwalita Lanka Bhima Rupa Nihata Suravarga Kalpita Ramachandra Kriti Sarga Sanjeevana Samavita Saumitre Kanthe Ramena Chitre Pravishasansa Raghupati Ravikara Bharata Ivatvam Madanujasara Shesha Syat Tava Suyashorakta Iti Vadata Shripatina Swakta Brahmadika Sanakadimunisha अहिपति नारद यति वागीशा यम कुबेर दिक्पति कवयस्ते गातुमशक्ता विपुल यशस्ते सुग्रीवाय कृतोपकृतिस्त्वं ददिथ राम मिलनं राजत्वं तव मन्त्रेण विभीषण एष जगति बभूव विदित लंकेश युगसहस्रयो जनगत भानुं मधुफलमिव गिलसि स्म सभानुं स्वमुखे प्रभु मुद्रां विनिधाय लंघयसि स्म जलधिमनपाय जगति यावदिह कर्म दुर्गमं त्वदनुग्रहतः सर्वं सुगमम् रामद्वारे त्वं प्रतिहारी विना त्वदाज्ञां को न विहारी तव शरणागत एति सुखानि त्वं रक्षीति न तस्य भयानि निज तेज स्वयमेवाचरसि हुंकारैर्लोकान् कंपयसि महावीर ये नाम भजन्ति भूत पिशाचा नायान्त्यन्ति रोगं हंसि च पीडां हरसि त्वां जपतो हनुमन्निज मनसि त्वं रक्तं रक्षसि संकटतः प्रायः ध्याति मनसि वचसि क्रियया यः सर्वोपरि तापसनृपरामः तत्कर्मा कुरुथा अविरामः योऽपि मनोरथम् अन्यं सृजति सो जीवन फलममितं भजति स्वप्रताप वृत समयुग शासक हे प्रसिद्ध जगतां परिभासक साधु सतां त्वं रक्षणकर्ता राम प्रिय राक्षसकुलहर्ता भवसिद्ध्यष्टक नवनिधिदाता वरमिति ददौ जानकी माता त्वयि किल राम रसायन भास त्वमसि सदा श्री रघुपति दास राम सुलभस्त्वद्भजनेन जन्मज दुःख हरो हि जनेन अन्ते रघुवर पुर परिसक्तः भवति स जन्मनि वा हरिभक्तः योऽन्यं देवं स्मरति न मनसि हनुमंस्तस्य सर्वसुखकृदसि सङ्कटपीडा तस्यैत्यन्तं योऽसौ स्मरति वीर हनुमन्तम् गोस्वामिन् जय 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 हनुमन् गुरुदेवस्त्विव कृपयहि भगवन् वारशतं यः पठति कश्चन महासुखी स्याद् विगत बन्धन येन पठ्यते चत्वारिंशः सिद्ध स्यात् साक्षी गौरीशः चिरहरिचारस्तुलसीदासः भवतु नाथ मम हृदि तव वासः पवनतनय संकटहरहे मंगलमूर्ति स्वरूप राम सुलक्ष्मण सीतायुत हृदय बस सुरभूप हृदय बस सुरभूप ॐ श्री हनुमते नमः। नमस्कार।
It was wonderful, Sampathji. Beautiful. I I was just telling Mohiji this afternoon that, the beauty of the Chalisa is that it is in Avdi, but the Sanskrit version is totally, it's like mesmerizing. Uh, Krishna ji, it is, what wonderful work. Would you like to add a few words?
Yeah, I very good evening to all. I was listening to Mr. Shubha Vilas, who was presenting a marvelous talk on Hanuman Chalisa, and all participants. I pay regard. Madam, this particular work was done on this year Pada Sankranti, what we call Mahavishu Sankranti. On the very morning, I got an inspiration to make Hanuman Chalisa into Sanskrit, and obviously it has come from the divine spirit of Hanuman, who inspired me to make it. And in the translation, I have tried to maintain the same rhythm, and as much as word of the original text, I have kept it as it is. So, to my view, Hanuman Chalisa was in Mahadeva Bhasha, because Sakshi Gaudisha, he has told Goswami Tulsi. So it was in Mahadeva Bhasha, and I have made it into Deva Bhasha. And this is my humble submission. And I am thankful to Dr. Sampadananda Mishra, who has been a good friend to me and a well-wisher, and he is a talent of our Odisha. He is a pride of our state, and he is a good Sanskrit scholar, and he is a good friend of mine, who has rendered this particular hymn in a very enchanting manner, and I am very much thankful all to him particular, and all of you in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krishna ji. I can't find words to express the beauty of this, your presentation, and of course, Sampath ji, how beautifully he sang it. If there are any audience questions, I would request you to kindly, raise your hand, and we would be happy to, kind of connect you to the three wonderful gentlemen who graced us with their presence this evening. Anyone with any questions? Neeta ji? Neeta ji?
Yeah, thank you so much, Hansini ji, and thank you, Shubji, for that beautiful narration. I was just hoping that it would not end. I know you have lovely stories, and I wanted it just to go on and on. And so, thank you so much. What I wanted to ask was that, like you said, you talked about Hanumanji touching your life, and I have a similar experience. What I want to ask you is that, of course, we recite the Hanuman Chalisa every Tuesday, right? So, where does what is the ideal way to do it? What is the correct way to do it? I mean, should we just recite it sitting down, or we can do it at any time, and we can do it at any hour of the day? I mean, what is the correct way of doing it with as much bhakti and as much involvement? And what would you say is the correct way for us to do this? And of course, with the lockdown, we have ample time, and I think this is just the right time to turn into it. So I just want to know from you, what is the correct way to do this?
Thank you for the question, Neetaji. In my humble understanding, when we talk about any mantra or any prayer, any recitals which are glorification of the great devotees of the Lord and the Supreme Lord Himself, these recitals are to be done with great devotion and a spirit of dedication and surrender. Other than that, there are no hard and fast rules for doing it. So my suggestion and humble, submission to you is, please do not get stuck with the ritual of doing it, but get into the spirit of doing it. And a lot of people I know who perfectly do it ritualistically, but unfortunately forget the spirit of devotion and the spirit of understanding which is hidden within the Hanuman Chalisa. So I would humbly suggest that you should focus on that aspect rather than thinking of doing it correctly and the right vidhi and things like that. Because when you do it in the right mood, in the right consciousness, the externals get taken care of automatically. You may be doing it with an incorrect pronunciation, you may be doing it in an incorrect way or whatever. All those incorrectness and imperfectness gets taken care when we focus on the spirit behind it, on the devotion behind it. So I would always suggest to people to focus on the devotional part rather than focusing on the external part of it. Right? I hope that helps, Neetaji.
A wonderful answer. It was
Yeah,
wonderful.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. The reason why I asked is because I see people when they're driving, Hanuman Chalisa is going on in the background. They're talking, and there is a Hanuman Chalisa going on in the background. So it's actually a little disturbing to see that. And I wondered, that. Like what you said, I've taken it very well, and I know that even if I do it once in the day and I do it with full devotion, my objective will be met. Thank you so much.
I think I thank the audience also for having waited so long. We have gone well past our time, and uh, I think just like me, just the beauty of this entire the day to day, of course, the Tuesday. Uh, and as a mother and as an educationist, such a relief to listen about CBSE 12th grade. And in the middle of all that, I think Hanumanji has been so great, so has blessed us through to give us that strength to take our children through it. um, yeah I would like to thank Shubha Vilas ji, Sampadananda ji, Krishna Keshav ji, and of course all the wonderful audience today for getting in touch with us and being a part of this. And CBL is going to be over the next 1 or 2 months. Given the pandemic and given the chaotic conditions, we are a little later in the week. We are going to be having a Gita presentation, and throughout this month, in fact, we are having stories and presentations in different ways, from taking from our ancient wisdom. Our scriptures have so many lessons, so many hidden gems. Very few of them Shubhaji was able to present today during his presentation. I wish we could just go on and on with it, but yeah, we are stuck for time. The next presentation would be on 3rd June evening by Rohit Chopra ji at 7:30, which will be the Gita for the global world. And of course, on 5th, we would be beginning the next group of Sanskritam. If anybody wants to, get in touch with our ancient language, you can still, we still have a few spots open. Anybody else would like to add anything? Please let me know. Thank you, Kriti ji. Thank you so much. Yeah, we would be wrapping up. Shubhratri. Take care.
Thank you.